Oh, I'm on stage.
Mm-mm.
It says live. Live 21,
All
22.
right. All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We are live and we're in studio tonight. This is our second episode of Candid Conversations with Coach Pam. And we have a special guest tonight. And our special guest is Miss Nancy Bradford, an informed parent. And for those who were not with me last week and have not had a chance to watch the replay, I am Coach Pam, and I am coming to you live each Sunday evening at 7 Eastern Time to share candid conversations. And I want us to let's discuss how we can help our black youth become ready, strong, resilient, and brilliant, and ready for higher education and for life. And so I hope everybody has had an opportunity to catch up on that hour that we lost last night. I just do not understand why we keep changing times, but it is what it is. And, our bodies think it's only in the 6 o'clock hour, but it is 7 o'clock, shortly after 7. And I just want to welcome my colleague, Miss Nancy. Good evening, Miss Nancy. How are you?
I'm fine, Coach Pam. How are you today?
I'm great, and I'm so glad to have you here with me tonight. Um, Nancy is in the trenches doing this work alongside me, and we are collaborating on some things, which we'll go into a little bit more detail later. But Nancy, why don't you tell us who you are and
Okay.
why you are doing what you do?
Okay, fine. Hi, Pam, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to parents tonight. And so, as Pam has said, my company is called an informed parent, and we have the excuse me, we have the goal of increasing the 4-year college graduation rate in the Black community. Now, we do that by empowering parents with answers to some of the problems that can either extend their kids' college careers or terminate it prematurely. And so some of the things that we talk about can be finances, or it can be physical or mental health issues, or it can be one of my specialties that I like to think about is college safety. Now, my background, I have a degree, a master's degree in public health, and I ended my formal career. I was with the New York State Department of Health for almost 40 years, and I left as the regional director of the family health programs in the downstate area. We call it the Metropolitan Regional Office, which was all of New York City, Long Island, and Lower Westchester, the majority of the population of the state. And I worked with maternal and child health programs. And so some of the programs that I worked with that I was administration for were programs with rape crisis or adolescent pregnancy prevention issues that talk to our kids. And so I learned a lot about some of the things that kept our kids from graduating, from being the full people that they were meant to be. Because I feel like our kids are brilliant, but what they don't have and what the parents don't have is the knowledge to feed into that brilliance. And I take this very personally because um, when I was growing up, my parents always said, you got to go to college, you're going to college. And that was reinforced by their friends. But when it's time for me to go to college in high school, they, like many parents do today, expect that there's going to be a guidance counselor that's going to work with your kids and get the best thing right for your kids. It wasn't true then, and it's now. And so I did not have the guidance to be prepared. They wanted me to go, and they trusted in a system that was not meant to work for us. Okay. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
that I think about, I had a friend. And we were encouraged to apply. I'm in New York City, so we were encouraged to apply for city university colleges. And she never told me where she was going. But what happened after we got
Okay, I think with technology we have lost Miss Nancy, and we're gonna hopefully she'll join us again. I think her internet connection was not very steady. While we wait for her to join us, I can share with you that a lot of the things that we have had many conversations about is, as she was starting to share with you, issues of safety. And so her concern, as well as mine, is that we don't want our young people to, we want them when they go off to school, and we're speaking primarily of residential campuses. When they go off to these campuses, they go all away as whole individuals, and we want them to be able to return to us the whole individual that they left as. So we don't want any kind of safety issues to hinder their growth, their development, their learning, or their lives. So if she can join us again, hopefully she'll be able to share with you and with us a lot of the things that she is uniquely prepared to talk about. But I also wanted to share that she's one of my colleagues. I'm a part of a mastermind. And for those of you who aren't familiar with masterminds, it's a coming together of like minded individuals who share resources, who share information, and usually there's a coach or someone who is leading the group. And in this mastermind, there are hundreds of other individuals, and it's a wide variety of individuals that have brick and mortar stores, who are developing e-commerce businesses, and also people who provide services. And so within the mastermind, I'm collaborating with five of my colleagues, and Miss Nancy is one of them. And um, uh, we're also collaborating with four other individuals for a virtual summit that we'll be doing on April 1st. And it'll be virtual, so it'll be online, and it will be from 11 a.m. Eastern Time until 3 o'clock Eastern. And there will be really good conversations going on. A sense of the agenda is we're going to start off our summit with a panel of the experts. We're going to be talking about why is college relevant. And so we'll discuss, is college still relevant in the 21st century? And that's a debatable conversation, but I think we have a diversity of experiences and viewpoints, and hopefully, I think all the experts are devoted to higher education, but in all instances, we want what's best for a particular kid. And so these conversations that I'm going to be having on Sunday evenings are devoted and dedicated to preparing our young people for college. And I guess the short answer for me is college may not be for everyone, but particularly for our black youth, college is still a good investment. And I would much rather prepare your kid for college and have them be so mature and so career ready and so clear on their pathway that when they make a choice to not go to college, it is just that, it's a choice. And so that's one of the things that I'm most concerned about, is that our young people are not having the choices in life or the opportunities in life to make a choice. So my goal in working with families is to make sure that our young people have choices. and have really good choices. And not just, well, really, I really want them to have great choices. So that takes and requires preparation. So let me get back to sharing with you who some of these experts are. Miss Nancy Bradford, who is an informed parent, will be one of the experts on April 1st. Charles Johnson, who is with Guided Pathways to Success. I always like to refer to Charles as my standardized test prep guy. And whether it's the SAT, the ACT, he's also great with preparing kids for the standardized high school entrance exams, for the military entrance exams. Basically, he's the standardized prep guy. And so we all need to understand that these standardized tests are not, and hear me clearly, they are not a test of our intelligence. They are simply a test of how well you prepared you are at any given point in time. So clearly, it matters that you be prepared for these tests. And while many people try to cram, it's much better to not cram and simply learn the formats of the exams, learn the strategies to test taking, but ultimately, you know, do things consistently over time. So the summit on April 1st is designed and geared for families of black middle school and high school students. And particularly, we want to get to talk to these parents. If you have a middle school kid, we want you there, because what you will find is to be best prepared for college and all of the greatest opportunities that exist in higher education, there are certain things you need to do during your 4 years of high school. So, in order to maximize your opportunities, you need to know what those things that are that you need to do in high school before you go off to high school. So, we want to talk to middle school parents so you can help prepare your kids. The choices that you're starting to make for coursework, the choices that you make for extracurricular activities, and the choices that you make for breaks. And it's not just the summer breaks, but the spring breaks, the winter breaks. I'm not here to add any additional stress or anxiety to any family in terms of the kids have to be uber busy every minute of every day. But it's all about having a strategy. And so, my desire is to, again, create an environment where we advise you as to how to make the best use of your time. Looks like Miss Nancy is back with us.
Straight. And
Had no
she went,
idea that you weren't with me.
no, I didn't. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you were starting your volume was getting a little sketchy, and I was
Okay.
just trying to let you go with it and not interrupt you because it was a little staticky, and then you just blipped out.
Oh,
So
and all of a
welcome
sudden
back.
you were just, I didn't, you just were looking at me. So, okay. That was good too.
All right. Well, I was talking to the folks, sharing a little bit more about. I started giving them a little bit of background as to what we're going to do on the first. But let's get back to where you were. Let me see if I can remember where you were and sharing with us. Um, I don't really recall, but let's just say, um, tell us uh, about your interest in the campus safety and college safety for
Oh,
these kids.
so again, I was 38, 38, 40 years, 38 to 40 years with the New York State Department of Health, where I have a master's degree in public health, and I left the health department as the regional director for family health programs for the Metropolitan Regional Office, which consisted of all of New York City, Nassau and Suffolk County, and the four downstate counties in New York State, which turns out to be most of the county, most of the population, majority of the population in New York City. And I, as somebody who worked in family health, I worked in programs, managed programs in um, rape crisis prevention, adolescent pregnancy prevention. And we worked with college students and high school students and their parents to, because one of the things we would say to parents, to kids, what do you think you could be if you didn't have a child prematurely? And
Mhm.
when you gave them that question and gave them the opportunity to think about what their possibilities of their lives could be. I want to, someone said, I want to be the next Whitney Houston. I remember her saying that. Or somebody said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher. I want to be, and so we brought the parents in and we took them on college tours and we took them on campus and we just talked to them and just tried to put into them that just by deferring your childbearing process, you can be some of those kinds of things. So again, being on campus and thinking about some of the things that affect our kids, because again, there are parents who have never been to college, and there are parents who never, like me, I was CUNY all the way, so I never went to college. I never went away to college. I was not in the dorm. So when my kids went away, I didn't pass on. And then there are people that went to college 20, 30 years ago, and what college is now is not at all what it is back then. I remember my daughter went to Northwestern University, and she was getting ready to go. She was in a summer program, and she went to an all-girls school, and she had never, she did limited dating. And as I remember, as we were getting ready for her to go, and I was like, I had these talks with her. What should I tell her? Oh my goodness! And I remember one of the things I told her was, if you are at a party, if you're at a date, and you have a, you put your drink down, do not go back and drink that. She said, I tell you nothing else. And then I also told her, if you come with a group, you leave with that group. When she came back for Thanksgiving, she said, "You, mommy," she said, "a lot of girls didn't weren't told that, and a lot of girls, some girls got in trouble because they didn't." So I understood that safety was a very important issue. And so I put together a book for parents on college safety. And so I talk about things like rape prevention, sexual assault. And people think it's only their daughters that they need to be concerned with, but there are certain groups that need to be concerned about sexual health, sexual education, not sexual education, prevention of sexual attacks. So it could be if you have a student that is, um, um, what is it, uh, sexual or gay or bisexual, what the initials there escape me right. Also, if you have a child that's handicapped on some, they are more at risk. So,
Mhm.
but don't know this. And I always say, parents are driving their kids off to college, and almost when they turn the corner, they want to have these conversations. And I want parents to think about the areas where they should be having these conversations, not at the last minute, but leading up. So it may be the year while they're applying for colleges. Maybe, once a month you have a conversation. And if there are certain things that you don't want to have a conversation with your child about for a number of different reasons, then find someone else to have those conversations. So I talk about in my book, I talk about drugs. I talk about marijuana because kids think that marijuana is legal. It's legal in some states, but it's still, as on a federal level, it is still an illegal drug, and they still get caught up in the wrong thing. Okay, I talk
Mhm.
about I talk about hazing. I talk about date rape, and I talk about what is the other thing I talk? There are a number of things that I talk about. I have my list here. Let's see. Um, I talk about medical consent and having parents complete the HIPAA form because once a child is over 18, um, you cannot get their medical information unless they give you permission. So, but parents, you need to know that. So, as you're filling out forms for your kids to go away to school, that's one of the forms that you fill out, and you make sure the form that you fill out is viable for the state where your child is going to be residing. We talk about alcohol. My son went to Morehouse, and I remember there was a young man who got drunk, walked up, had an accident, and some people died. When my son was graduating college, his friend was in jail for that particular homicide. So if we need to talk, we need to talk to our kids about alcohol, and especially if there is alcohol in the family. Okay, here we go again.
I'm still here. I just
Oh,
there was a phone ringing in my background. I wanted to let you have the stage and not have that be a distraction to what you were
oh,
saying.
it was not. So, but I want parents to have these conversations with their kids. So that's what's important to me because it just takes one little thing. I don't know if you as parents know of someone that was a promising student that went off to college and they came back and they weren't quite right. There was something, you don't know exactly what happened, but you know the person that they was sent out was not the person that uh, back to college.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we our babies are precious, and we need to make sure that they're safe. We need to help them understand how to stay safe. Now, the colleges are required by law to let you know things like how many certain crimes were committed on their campus and things that they do to make sure your kids are safe. And so it's published. It's called the Annual Safety and Fire Report. But parents
Repeat
must
that. Repeat that. What is it called?
the Annual College Safety and Fire Report.
Okay.
It's due in October, and they have to give you 3 years of statistics, sexual assaults, uh, what they, robberies, but they also have in that document, and the document is very interesting. Depending on the size of the school, it can be 100 pages, it can be 20 pages. But the school also is required to tell you um, different things. What programs do they have in place to keep your kids safe? Okay, um, are they having programs to teach you fire drills? Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say to all parents, make sure your kids are told that when there's a fire drill to take part in that fire drill because sometimes kids go, oh, it's just a fire drill, but what if there's a fire that happens? We had 2 years, 3 years ago, Fairleigh Dickinson, one of the colleges in New Jersey, they had a fire in one of the dorms. Some people died. Some of these laws have been put in place because something happened to someone and
Mm-hmm.
took their turned it into purpose. And they had legislation that was important. So now you have to have there should be fire extinguishers. There should be helping you to know. Give you the case in point. I was talking to a group of parents, and I had the copy of the report with me, and I said, "This is the annual safety report for this school." On the campus last year, they had two rapes, and the father jumps up and says, "Oh, don't show that to my daughter because that's the school I want her to go to." And I said to the father, "I'm not telling you not to send your child to the school. What I am saying, with the information that you now have because of this report, when you take your child to that school and you're at parents' orientation, and the president of the college gets up and says, we have wonderful food, we have wonderful dorms, we have a gym," and he's smiling, and he says, "Are there any questions?" Now, he knows most of the parents don't even know about the Cleary report or the annual safety report. And they'll say no, and they're just happy. If you get up and say, excuse me, President, President, Mr. President, On your latest uh, annual safety report, I see that you had two rapes on last. last. What are you doing to make sure that my daughter is protected?
Mm-hmm.
That's the conversation. Because they're going to look at you now and go, "Oh, who's parent? Who's that child?" Because they know you are an informed parent. And what I would also say is, anytime you drop your child off at the campus, there's three places I want them to know you. I want you to be known in health services, because if something happens, I want them to be able to associate a face and a name with your child. I want you to go over and know the campus police people, and I want you to have an intimate relationship. I want you to know the dormitory people. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so because those are the first line of defense for your child. Now, I'll give you an example with my daughter. This has kind of something to do with school. She calls me one day, and again, she's in Chicago. She says, "Mommy," I say, "Yes, Jessica." She says, we went to the basketball game in Wisconsin tonight." Oh, okay. Now, her father had season tickets to they were then the New Jersey Generals. Now they're the Brooklyn, not Generals, the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
And so she got to know some of the team members, because he was season ticket holders. They got to do different things, um, and get to know the players. So when she was a second year student, she could drive then. She was the head of the uh, engineering program. So she was driving people, the student engineering program. So she was driving to different campuses for meetings. So they decided, a group of them, we're going to go to Milwaukee to see Milwaukee Bucks play the New Jersey Nets. Okay. So when she gets there and she waves at the players and they know her, the first thing they said, one of them says, "Does your father know you're here?" When you get home, you're going to call your father and let him know I saw you.
Mm-hmm.
So what did she came home and said, "Let me call my parents first." Okay. But somebody at home, okay, somebody that knew my child and could report back to her. You want
Your microphone is going in and out again
Okay. Is this better?
a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it
Yeah.
up.
So,
Oh,
all right. So
is that
we need to wrap up because we've only got a minute and a half left for tonight.
okay? Well, I can always come back, Miss Coach
I
Pam.
I
So
definitely want you to come back, but I also want to give us an opportunity for people to know how, if they want to reach out to you, how they can reach out to you, and that is they can email you. Is that right? At
yes,
Nancy at thecollegesafetybook.com.
yes,
All
yes.
right. And then I wanted to give them some more information on how they can see us both on April 1st for our Ready, Set, Elevate virtual summit. And that's Saturday, April 1st. We both, along with four other of our colleagues, will be doing a summit and it's all virtual. So from the convenience of your home or from wherever you might be, it's a Saturday. We know that everyone has busy schedules. You might be on the go. You'll be able to log in, and it's totally free. And we'll be talking more in depth about these kind of conversations. I was sharing when we lost you for a second that we'll be having a conversation about is college still relevant in the 21st century? A panel discussion. I think you're going to be talking in depth about cyberbullying,
Cyberbullying, yes.
and I'm going to be talking specifically about 5 secrets every parent should know for your black kids' ultimate success. And so, for more information or to register for Ready, Set, Elevate Summit, you go to bit.ly, bit.ly/1 April Summit, the number 1 April Summit. bit.ly/1 April Summit. So, Miss Nancy, I am so glad that you have been my first guest here with Candid Conversations with Coach Pam. And I know that you will not be a stranger.
Nope.
We will be talking further on the 1st of April, and I hope that every black parent of a middle school or high school student will join us. So if you don't have a kid, please share with anyone who does the information of how they can register. Again, it's here on the screen, bit.ly/1 April Summit. And until next Sunday, we will see you back then. And again, thank you, Miss Nancy. I enjoyed having you, and I will put up one more time for folks how they can get you or your book at Nancy at thecollegesafetybook.com. All right, have a good evening.
You too.